Hello, everybody. Welcome to this week's episode of Palm Tree Sports Radio. My name is Craig Woods, your host, and as always, is brought to you by my IU Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is happy Sunday evening, you guys. As I mentioned before, my name is Craig Woods. I'm your host. We're going to get into a whole lot of sports coming out of the Sunshine State, guys. We're going to touch on what's going on with the Buccaneers, the Jaguars, and the Miami Dolphins as the combine has started, and there are a lot of promising talent so far that we have seen. We'll talk about needs there lightly. Very briefly, and then we'll move on to the NBA. We have action there with the Magic and the Heat sitting respectively 7 and 8 with their spots, switching over this past week. So we'll get into that, what went right and what went wrong for both of those teams. We'll talk college basketball. The red-hot Florida Gators going crazy right now. And we'll talk about the Noles and the Canes as they end their season. We have the return of spring baseball here in the South. So the Tampa Bay Rays and, of course, Miami Marlins will be playing spring baseball, guys. And then, of course, we'll wrap things up with the NHL, what's going on with the Bolts and the Panthers as the Bolts, who are, look, we're an icy team, but we're on fire too, baby. The Bolts and the Panthers, two of the best teams in the NHL right now. We'll talk about what's going on with them. All that and more on this week's episode of Palm Tree Sports Radio. Keep it locked here for all your Florida sports needs. Again, my name is Chris Woods, your host, and as always, is brought to you by IU Sports Radio. You know what it is, your direct feed for all that is sports. Hello, everybody. Welcome to this week's episode of Palm Tree Sports Radio. My name again is Corey Pools, your host, and as always, is brought to you by IU Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Once again, happy Sunday, you guys. So, per the usual, I have some information coming to you by way of the South, Florida, and so there's a little bit more to cover now that we have more sports starting to get back into rotation again. Of course, the MLB is back, and the MLS will be back in the full swing very soon as well. We have, obviously, NASCAR and so many other things. March Madness is upon us. It is March 2nd, guys, as I'm coming to you right now. It's 9:09 p.m. here on the East Coast. And there's a bit of a fastness to this year so far, guys, right? Like, I just think about it. It just feels like yesterday we were talking about the Super Bowl, and here we are, spring training for baseball, and the Olympics are upon us. I mean, it's going so fast, guys. So a lot to talk about, though, coming out of Florida. So we'll get into that and so much more. But first things first, guys, we have to go over our regulars, if you will. So for those of you who are on social media, if you are following us or looking to follow us on any of the platforms, whether it be X, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, YouTube, IE Sports at IE Sports is going to be where you find us at IE Sports Radio, that is, guys. Again, at IE Sports Radio is where you're going to find us on all of the socials. Twitter, formerly known as Twitter, my apologies, X now. Like I said, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, YouTube, etc. So go look us up there. Go find us. Go give us a follow and join the discussion. everything sports related. And then, of course, if you are looking for the umbrella for all the other shows, not just including this one, but all the other shows that we have the offer here at IE Sports Radio, you're going to look at iesportsradio.com is going to be the umbrella. iesportsradio.com is the umbrella that all the shows fall under. So go give us, a look at the website and whatnot, and then let us know what you think, of course. Now, obviously, for the podcast, wherever you listen to yours at, I listen to mine on Apple Podcasts. Of course, there's Spreaker, Spotify, Amazon. There's, iHeartRadio, Google Podcasts, whatever it is, whatever floats your boat, you can go find us again at IE Sports Radio. Again, that is at IE Sports Radio. For this specific show that you're listening to, this is at _IE for the X handle, as well as the other social handles. If you're looking for this show, again, at _IE. And then for me, your host at Pools Corey's, where you can find me. That is going to be on Twitter, Instagram, or my primary sources of social media function. You can find me there and join the discussion. Again, like I said before, all sports related, all Florida talk all the time, baby. As you can tell by the hat, right, that, the Razorback playing baseball again. This is actually one of my favorite hats, guys. But, go look us up, go find us, join the discussion, guys. And for our sponsors this evening, of course, Planet Jerky, the Planet Jerky Beef Jerky, which is our original sponsor. Shout out to them. And of course, Seal the Deal Wax Seals by our very own Cecilia B. Amazing wax seal products that she creates for us, not for us, but for her company, what is a sponsor to us, guys. And of course, if you haven't heard in recent memory, IE Sports has probably partnered with a Vital Apparel, which is a brand that not only fits great, but also promotes and donates to mental health research. Use code IESR to get 15% off their comfortable and inspiring gym wear and help them in their amazing journey to support mental health, guys. I can't tell you how amazing that is. I know personally that I have a couple of people that I consult to, for therapy and such purposes. I happen to be friends with a therapist, actually, so I'm blessed in that aspect to have somebody like that in my personal life that can help me in my journey on a regular basis. And for our newest sponsor, Raw Nutrition Supplements, GetRawNutrition.com is going to be the website. Use your promo code IESR for 10% off your order there. And then, of course, the Supporters Club, you can find them at www.spreaker.com /podcast/Palm Tree Sports. Support this show, the one that you're listening to right now. But guys, that is what I have for you for the intro. Let's go ahead and get into a message from our sponsors, and then when we get back, we'll jump right into the show. We'll jump into the comments, and then we'll get into the show. Keep it locked here for a few more moments for a message from our sponsors.
IE Sports Radio fans, this show is brought to you by Planet Jerky Premium Brisket Beef Jerky. Planet Jerky is the official jerky of the 2022 California League champion Lake Elsinore Storm, Single A affiliate of the San Diego Padres. This all brisket jerky has gluten-free options, contains no MSG, no sodium nitrate, is low in sugar, and high in protein. Go to their website at planetjerky.net and follow them on Instagram at Planet Jerky. Planet Jerky, the jerky that's on a whole other planet.
Hey there, IE Sports Radio fans. Be sure to check out our sponsor, Seal the Deal Wax Seals by Cecilia B. You just finished your very own wedding or baby shower invitations and you're looking for that extra special touch? Maybe you just wrote a letter to a relative or a friend and you want to add to their smile when they receive it. Then seal the deal with Cecilia's handmade sealing wax stamps for your invitations, letters, and gifts. You bring the deal, we'll bring the seal. You can find them on Instagram at sealthedeal_wax stamps and on Facebook, Seal the Deal Wax Seals.
Rise and shine. It's 4 a.m. The stars are still out. The sun is beneath the horizon, but it's time to punch in and go to work. The comfort of your warm-ups turns into the grinding out of your reps as the clinking and the clanking of the plates create a symphony of euphoria. There's no other feeling like it. Earn it, burn it, and take what's yours. IE Sports Radio has proudly partnered with Vital Apparel, a brand that not only fits great, but also promotes and donates to mental health research. Use our code IESR to get 15% off their comfortable and inspiring gym wear and help them on their amazing journey to support mental health. Go hard, take part in your iron therapy, and be strong. Because when your mental health is as strong as you are, there's no telling how far you'll go.
Welcome back to Palm Tree Sports Radio, guys. My name is Corey Pools, your host, and as always, is brought to you and powered by IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. There's a word from our sponsors. Thank you, and big shout out to each of our sponsors. So go ahead and take a quick look at the chat, and then we will jump into what we have going on for you guys this evening. So, old man's in the house. Hey, Dad. Good to see you, my man. Missed you this morning at church. I aim to be better next week for it. So. T-Raw in the building. What's up, my man? It's good to see you, brother. Yes, sir. Let's have an amazing show. As always, Marcus. Hey, Los, it's good to have you in here, bro. Always good to have you in here, my man. That's a blessing and a half right there. Shout out to your show, Gloves Off, Boxing Podcast, of course, if you haven't checked it out. Got to go check it out. Same thing with T-Raw repping South Cali. Go check them out. If you have not listened to any of their shows, go check them out, bro. What else we got here? Oh, yeah, man. Yeah, Dad, you already know. Yeah, this is – I knew you would have some love for this one, you know. It's a special one, right, because we have a young team. For those of you who do not know, our team is only, not even 30 years old. Not even 30 years old yet, guys. Still a baby team. The Buccaneers – my bad. If I can point my finger in the right – there we go. The Buccaneers are getting ready to celebrate 50 years, in fact, of football. If you guys did not know that. And so, yeah, big shout out to our Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Big shout out to our Rays. It'll be in 3 years when the Rays celebrate 30 years of Rays baseball, to give you guys an accurate number there for that. So, yeah, guys, shout out to everybody in the chat. Glad to have you guys. Definitely going to be looking for you guys' opinions on some of these things. You got a couple of ongoing games, Dad. Get your phone ready to do your thing. For those of you who have not listened to the show before, my dad is kind of like, he's always my special guest host whenever I have one. I try to keep it a secret because he's the special guest, but he also is big help out for ongoing games as well when I can't watch it, obviously, while I'm doing the show. So we'll look to the chat for that, of course. And then, guys, I actually want to start off with something before we get into our random fact of the day, and then we jump over into the sports. Just want to let you guys know, listen, if you're having a hard time, if you're having a tough time right now, you're not the only one, right? Life is pushing us around. It's pushing me around. It's pushing my family around. And, but the way we're built, we just keep moving forward. We just put our head down and we just keep moving forward. So I just want to let you know, just, you know, from me to you, if you're going through it, you're not alone. We're with you. You know, and you know, keep that head down, keep moving forward, one foot in front of the other, and we'll figure it out when we get to the end, and not before then, you know. So one foot in front of the other, guys. For the random fact for the Florida random fact, if you will. So we have, I think this is actually really cool. They're not always going to be sports related, just so you know. This is a generalistic thing. But something that was really, really cool we got to do at my job recently was go to the Manatee Viewing Center. So we actually house a natural habitat for manatees here in South Central Florida. We have some in the river that I grew up next to. So I grew up in Tampa, Florida. We have the Hillsborough River, which is a massive river, in fact, and I actually work to clean it, actually as part of what my job is, working with the city. And so that's a really cool thing. But we also get to see all types of other wildlife, countless turtles, of course. And that's obviously not just the oceans, the river as well. The manatees, like I said, are really, really cool. They always travel together. They like it warm. They prefer it warm. We also, of course, alligators. Here in Florida, alligators it's literally what you think it is. Like we actually don't really fear them that much. Not really. I mean, our dogs do. Like but for the most part, we know how to keep our distance, but they don't really interact with us. But it really is exactly what you think it is. If you're not from Florida, you see those videos of like giant alligator. Yeah, it's a thing. It's totally a thing, and it's pretty normal for us. Like it's not like you see an alligator walking across the street, you're like, oh yeah, it makes sense. Like so, there's that. And then dolphins. Dolphins are actually my favorite to see because when we're out on the boat, they love to play with you. Like they will come up and swim near the boat and whatnot. And, they'll hop out of the water. They'll play hide and seek with you a lot of the time. And they're very, very smart creatures. So it's almost like they know how to read you. If you're cool, they're going to be cool too. And so I've had quite a few experiences with dolphins as well here, both out on the ocean and or not out on the ocean, but from the I don't go out on the ocean, bro. I'm terrified of the ocean. But the river, I love the river. River's good. So, but yeah, little known fact, we actually have like just an amazing aquatic habitat here. And, our very own Hillsborough River actually equates to that. Such a cool thing. So, but yeah, that's the random fact of the day, guys. Let's go ahead and get into what I got for you for sports. So we're going to touch on what's going on. I'm not even going to put the names up or anything like that because we're just going to touch and go. But for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, for the Jacksonville Jaguars and Miami Dolphins, they are all looking towards the draft right now. The combine has looked immaculate, obviously, with a couple of our boys from the University of Florida shining very, very bright. I got to see a little bit of work from Chim DK. Shout out Chim DK. We love you, big dog. Whoever gets him is going to get a very, very special wide receiver. Remember that name, guys, Chim DK. The main issue with him was just staying healthy. His senior year, he was able to do that with Florida and had an outstanding year at the University of Florida. And, I could only wish that he got another year or so to catch balls from DJ Lagway because, man, what a talent he is. Montreal Johnson Jr. ran a pretty fast 40 as well. Pretty good running back, guys. My only concern with him is I feel that he's as good as the people are around him. I think when the people around him are better, he's a better player. You got to be great on your own, though, right? Kobe mentality. You got to be great on your own. No, excuse me. My apologies there, guy. So, yeah, just a couple of names real quick that I saw and I want to throw out there just for any of you guys who maybe, don't watch Florida football or haven't seen any of what was going on after, obviously, the Graham Mertz injury. Of course, Graham Mertz coming out in the draft as well, so that'll be another name to pay attention to. Great quarterback, just at times if he's forced to ad-lib, there's a question mark. And it's not that he can't. The question is, will it be good or will it be bad? Now, normally it's always good, but when it's bad, it's like really bad. It's like injury bad, which is what we've seen from him at the end of, or 2 years ago at the end of the 2023-2024 year, and then going into 2024, obviously having injury. I think it was 3 games in, and then losing him out for the season afterwards. And so just take that information in what you will. But, as far as the Buccaneers are going to be concerned, they're not actually going to be looking in state for the most part. I think they're going to be looking out of state to recruit some talent. They need just massive help on the defensive side of the ball at edge and linebacker. We're still not sure what Levante is going to do, albeit his birthday just passed and all signs point to another re-sign. It looks like it's going to be another year. So expect Mr. Consistent to come back one more time. Like I said, I think it'll be a 1-year deal, probably worth around $10 million. If he takes the bump, it might be like $7-8 million. I mean, at the end of the day, it's going to be enough to tuck it away and say it's worth the year, right? But, we're no strangers to Levante David. We love Mr. 54, model of consistency and one of the greatest Buccaneers to ever do it. We tip our hat to you, good sir. And then, obviously, in the secondary, we're going to need some help. Probably not as much help as we're going to need at linebacker now that we're examining just how bad it is at linebacker. It doesn't look like the team is going to really want to stay with JTS. And knowing that that's the case, there's been some talk about Khalil Mack. So that'll be one name to look out for, guys, for Tampa Bay in free agency. So yeah, that's pretty much it. Offensive side of the ball, not really much has changed. Promote your QB coordinator to offensive coordinator. Defensive coordinator stays the same. Head coach, same ball game as well. I really hope that we're able to do something with this free agency, and I really need us to re-sign Chris Godwin. Of course, the period has been extended out. Chris wants to stay here. The Bucs want to give him the numbers. The problem is we're running out of time. We don't want to see free agency hit because there are going to be teams that are going to throw whatever it is they have at him. And why wouldn't they, right? So at that point, it'll be a question of loyalty. And, I have a lot of faith in CG, but we'll see what happens, guys. I don't think we can lose him, though. I think we absolutely need him. I think that if we have him in the playoffs, that things might have gone differently. But realistically, our season was probably in shambles, realistically speaking, after that Baltimore game and losing Chris Godwin. For the Jaguars, same thing I said last week. What's the ball game? What's the ball game? But what's the verdict on Sunshine? Right. At the end of the day, you can go out, you can spend $175, $185 million on talent in free agency as they did a couple of years ago. And if you don't have the quarterback that you need to get to facilitate the football, it doesn't matter. You can have all the good bigs on the NBA, in the NBA. But if you don't have, the facilitator, if you don't have the point guard, the people that to maneuver that football or basketball around, you're not going to find any success. Not really. And so it's the same concept here. I don't know. I've seen wild stories. I've seen stories of the Jacksonville Jaguars trading for Matthew Stafford. I mean, that would be interesting if they're trying to rebuild this Mark Brunell look type Jaguars team they had 20 years plus ago. But I mean, all signs point to obviously, him staying in LA. I think the last time that I saw anything on that was that he was restructuring his contract. So I don't think that's going to happen. There's probably a good veteran quarterback that you get out there as a bridge, but to what extent right now? I mean, at this point, you might as well just go ahead and draft somebody because you're going to need to draft somebody anyway. So even if you have to do it in the future, you might as well do it now. And like I said before, a couple of years ago, they just spent $175, $185 million in cap on free agency. So you're going to have to work through the draft right now. For the Dolphins, it also the same bit. Tua, can he stay healthy? If he can stay healthy, how do you shore up the rest of that defense? Again, defensive line is going to be a point of emphasis for Miami, even though they have some studs already. They're going to need to shore that spot up, especially if they're going to want to win at the trenches again. Obviously, at cornerback, they're going to need some help, and so they're going to probably do most of their drafting on the defense. And like I said last week as well, they have a pretty outstanding wide receiving core, Jalen Waddle and Tyreek Hill, and obviously Devon Achane and that backfield that they have with Tua at quarter. This offense is it's in pretty good shape. Maybe an offensive lineman again would be helpful for them, but that's pretty much it, guys. I mean, the NFL, like I said, it's gonna be really, really guesswork, if you will, approximations about what teams are going to do, who they're going to move to, who they're going to gravitate towards as far as who they want to sign and who they want to work with. So we'll know more as soon as free agency starts, which should be, I think it's in a week or something like that. I think it starts. And then, in May, I believe it is when we'll have the draft. So, we have plenty of time to navigate those things. But obviously, like I said, free agency right around the corner. So that's going to be the first big thing. And we'll see a lot of big names move around this offseason simply because of the way last year went. Chiefs didn't win the Super Bowl, and that's a beautiful thing. But that also means that, the team that is going to be the hunted now is going to be the Philadelphia Eagles. So, expect, splash names to be signed in the wake of trying to emulate what that team has done in recent memory and find a way to defeat the inevitable and seemingly vast kingdom that is the Chiefs kingdom. And so, but that's what's going on in the NFL, guys. A very, very interesting time for the season, I guess you could say. I mean, it very interesting. I don't know what to expect. I just know there are going to be big names moving. So like I said, just be on the lookout for that. College football, it's springtime. It's what you would expect right now. There's a lot of random things going on, but I do want to shine a light on DJ Lagway. He started DJ Lagway Foundation in partnership with the University of Florida. And I think that's just an amazing thing. And obviously He's present all the time at Florida Gators event. In fact, he was at the Gators college basketball game against Texas A&M, and just kind of rallying the troops and whatnot, and just being a presence everywhere. The type of leadership that we haven't seen in a very long time. I would say the last time we had this kind of leadership was Timmy T, right? So the greatest to ever do it. And so DJ, well on the way to becoming an absolute stud in college football. And I can't wait. You guys just keep your eyes out, because I'm telling you, that's not a kid that you guys are going to want to miss. Between him and the kid out there in South Carolina, I'm telling you right now, there's going to be some serious changes in the SEC coming starting next year. You heard it here first, folks. But yeah, be ready for that. Be prepared for that, guys. So moving on into the NBA, guys. So we're going to go ahead and go into the NBA. Then we'll go college basketball, take a break, and then go from there. So for the NBA right now, the Magic and the Heat, they have swapped, right? So the Magic actually were the 7, and now it's the Heat that are the 7. And they've done it in, well, not really dramatic fashion. They're 2-2 over their last 4, but they were beating the Knicks last time I saw. So this will be the first order of business for the evening, guys. If anybody wants to go look up that Knicks Heat score, and obviously I could do it. I have my phone with me, but I don't want to do that in you guys' presence. Like I prefer somebody else to do that for me. But I don't want to kind of be rude and be doing 2 technical things at the same time here. But the Heat, like I said, they were beating the Knicks. It was 100-95, 100-99, I think it was, before I changed screens. And so that game got a lot closer real quick. And so I don't know what became of it. It was 5 minutes left in the fourth quarter. So whatever it was, likely is the score of the game right now. This ball game's over. So, but the Heat right now rocking a 28-30 record. They were going up against a high-ranked Knicks team rocking a 39-20 record. So the Heat they're regrouping, as you would expect them to do, Eric Spoelstra-led group. So, they're not going to stay down the dumps for very long, but obviously this is a very strenuous situation just experienced with JB, and I think they're still working the kinks out through that. And as they're doing that right now, like I said, 2-2 over the last 4. They've won the last 2 in a row, so they've got some momentum. If they won this game right here, that would give them 3 in a row. And like I said, they're 7th place right now in the East. They're 5 games behind the Pistons. I don't know how it's going to shape out, guys. I don't know. Miami they got talent. Obviously still got Bam and Tyler and those boys, and a decent bench. But I can't help but think that they just haven't been able to explode like they have in years past. And when I see a Miami Heat team like this, it kind of reminds me of that like 90s Heat team. They would consistently see Jordan, and things just wouldn't be the same after they saw Jordan. And not to say that like Jordan was this like great disruptor, but I felt like there was an element of kind of breaking points for NBA teams back then. And I feel like when they ran into certain teams, that's what happened. Obviously Utah and, I said the 90s, so I can't really use the Lakers, but Houston for a short period of time was one of those teams as well. So, the Trailblazers, Clyde the Glide. And so, yeah, you get what I'm saying. I think that Miami will be okay. They just need to get to the end of the season. They'll make the playoffs, but they won't go far. The Magic have a better shot. The Magic are beating themselves right now, but the Heat, I think that this is more or less as far as it goes for them. I don't see them having the resolve and the kind of relentlessness that's necessary to make a deep playoff run without JB, and knowing how everything ended with JB. So that's my opinion on that matter right there. Yeah, these teams do need to wake up. They need to wake up quickly. You're 100% correct, Dad. I think that when you look at Miami, right, you see this team, and it's unfortunate the fall from grace that they've experienced, right? So that you go back, sometime you had the what I would consider the greatest show on turf, for lack of a better terminology, and stealing one from the NFL when we got to see D Wade and LeBron. I mean, D Wade and LeBron look like, when you go to the hood and like they're playing basketball, and like there's those 2 brothers that are just like better than everybody else, or those 2 friends that are just better than everybody else because they play more than anybody else. That was the kind of feel with Braun and Wade. And so you go from that, Wade sails, away on his boat and off into the sunset with Gabrielle Union and whatnot, and leaves basketball, and Miami's just kind of like, okay, so what do we do now? and then here comes JB, he comes in, Bam comes in, they draft Tyler, they draft, Duncan Robinson, a few other guys and whatnot. They just go in there and they make a run. They get to the finals, they run into Bron and AD, and Bron and AD clean things up in probably the most difficult NBA championship there was to win. I mean, I don't care what anybody says, but, being away from family during a pandemic, guys, I don't know how to tell you what a struggle is. I can tell you I was in the United States Army, right? And when I went to boot camp, I missed everybody. Like, I literally just missed everybody. I wrote my mom and dad. I wrote my girl at the time. Like, you know what I'm saying? I wrote who I could. And that was the only contact I had with the outside world. And that was only for 10 weeks, guys. That was 10 weeks. Okay. So, like, I'm telling you right now, 3 months, it is rough, bro. It's rough. And so, do with that information as what you will, but the fall from grace that Miami has experienced since losing JB has just been dramatic and chaotic as it can be from losing a player. And so I did harp on that a little bit, but I just kind of want to point out, a decade ago, it wasn't like this. Okay. I mean, well, a decade ago, Bron was about to go back to Cleveland actually a decade ago, but that's neither here or there. But you get what I mean. So that's what's going on there with the Heat guys. The Magic are record-wise in a slightly worse place, but team-wise probably in a better place. See, they have their young stars. Franz Wagner isn't, when and get my Paulo Banchero. Let me not forget about him. And then you go out and get, veteran KCP, and you rally the troops. And when you have a pretty solid team, you got a pretty solid starting five, and then Jalen Suggs goes down. He's out indefinitely with a knee injury, so I'm going to hit you with the cabbage first, guys, the veggies, the broccoli, whatever it is. I don't like veggies, so that's why I say that. But, this team gets healthy, then they get unhealthy again. I don't know. That's pretty much what's going on with the Magic. I'll tell you what, though. They were losing to the Raptors, the 18-42 Raptors, that is. They were losing to the Raptors 81-82 at the end of the third. Again, I would appreciate if somebody threw that score into the chat. Just the final score. But last time I did see it, it was the end of the third, and so I caught what I could of it. And like I said, they were losing that game. Magic rocking a 29-32 record. Like I said, the Magic, they get healthy and then they're unhealthy. I can't really go into further detail about what that means, simply because that's been the case. There haven't been many season-ending injuries, but there have been these, couple month, 3-4 month can't play, and then so the rotation gets screwed up, right? So just imagine doing anything where you have a rotation. It could be baseball. It could be, I play TCG, right? I play Yu-Gi-Oh, the card game. So imagine I'm playing that and I don't have the right ratios, right? Or any other card game, like Pokemon, Magic, whatever, One Piece, whatever. But imagine just not having the right material to run that engine, right? There's going to be issues, going to be malfunction. And that's kind of what I think is happening with the Magic. The rotation has been completely messed up this year. First it was Paul Banchero goes down, then Franz Wagner goes down, and they bounce back. And like I said, no sooner than less than a month later than both of them coming back, Jalen Suggs is out. Your facilitator is out, right? So, it's just a frustrating theme right now for the Magic, and healthy is going to be the key for them during this playoff push. See, now this is the team that I feel like could make a deep playoff push, but it's going to depend on, the call to arms. Do you have enough people available? Do you have enough continuity and, with the rotation and your starters to be able to make a deep push? It's a team that can beat the Bucks. They can beat, the Pistons and the Heat and all these other teams that are ahead of them. But are they healthy enough to do it? Is going to be the question for them moving forward. I don't know. I can't give you a definitive answer. I can't. Next game is going to be against the Raptors as well. It's going to be Tuesday, March 4th. That's going to be at 7 p.m., guys. A lot of these games are going to be hitting like back-to-back and so you're going to hear some March 4th, March 5th. I think there's March 7th in there somewhere. So just be prepared for like a little bit more spread out than we did last week. Last week was all like Tuesday, February, I think it was the 25th or something like that. Like we said that date a lot, didn't we? But yeah, so this week is going to be a little bit more spread out. The Heat's next game, I actually skipped that, so I do apologize real quick. Back to the Heat, so I can give you that. This game is going to be against the Wizards. The Wizards have the worst record. All right, they're 11-48. That game is going to be tomorrow at 7:30. If you want to check out that game, it's going to be a chance for the Heat to collect another win and try to make something out of nothing from what they've been experiencing. Still, like I said, down 5 games to the Pistons. But next game should be an easy dub. Should be easy dub. Should be. Okay. We'll see about that one. And like I said, for the Magic, their next game, like I said, is going to be a follow-up game against the Raptors again. That game's going to be Tuesday, March 4th, 7 p.m. So just be prepared for that one. Like I said, so you have in order, you got Heat basketball tomorrow, and then you're going to have, Magic basketball on Tuesday. So lost the last 2 in a row. They're in 8th place. So, yeah, they dropped the last 2. The last time we were speaking, we actually thought they were going to win those 2 and that they would be at 500 by now or close to 500 at least instead of, 3 games doesn't seem like much, but it is. It is when you have a whole bunch of Eastern Conference games still left to play. That's really the key right there. And so for the Magic, losing Jalen Suggs right now, it's really, really rough after a 2-game loss. And like I said, he's out indefinitely. It's a knee injury. That's all we know. That's all we know. So that's what's going on there for the Magic, guys. Let's hit the chat real quick. All right. Yep. All right. So there we go. Heat did fall to the Knicks, 116-112 in OT. All right, they fought, right? They fought. I mean, they had a lead. They couldn't protect it. Went to OT, lost it. Just ran out of gas. And then Orlando, they lose 104-102 to the Raptors. And, I rest my case, man. I rest my case. Like I said, this is really, really frustrating to see, but I don't know. That injury must have been a number on that team right now. Maybe it was a bad injury and they just couldn't refocus. I'm not sure, but losing to Toronto definitely did hurt. I would agree with that 100%. Well, all right. Looking forward to the Tampa Bay Sun FC ladies soccer team starting their spring season on Saturday, the 3/8, so March 8th at Fort Lauderdale, United FC. All right, hey, let's go, ladies. Let's get a dub. You're representing the city, and you guys are actually playing the first game for a Tampa Bay team in the regular season. Yeah, you guys will be playing the first. Yeah, that's pretty cool. All righty, well, go Tampa Bay Sun. Let's get that W, guys. Alrighty, so let's move on. Let's move on to college basketball. Okay, so probably the hottest this team's been in a minute. Our beloved Florida Gators, the blue and orange, the orange and blue. Whether combination you want to use, the pride of Florida itself, the place that I call the Magic Place. I know a lot of people come here and they go to Orlando for Disney. My Disney is the University of Florida. All right, specifically at Ben Hill Griffin Stadium and Steve Spurrier Field, but that's another story, okay? We're talking about men's basketball, and we're talking about how well our Gators are doing. How well have they been? Well, the answer to that question is 7-1 over the last 8, with the only loss being to Tennessee at that time. Well, they recently, before that was Tennessee. We lost to Georgia, dropped the ball on Georgia. Can't explain why. Definitely one of those off games. This Florida team right now is one of those teams where we have our moments, and it's almost like they're recharge games. Almost like, you guys ever watch Dragon Ball Z and you see Goku get his behind kicked and he's in the little chamber, he's getting his fluids and he's all like unconscious and his like hair is like flowing up and he's got the mask on and whatnot. It's like that. Yeah, the Gators tend to have like a game where they just do that. They just take a break. That's the only way I can describe it. But this was not one of those games. I actually watched the Florida Gators beat Texas A&M yesterday. Score of that ball game was 89-70. As I said, I watched that game. Outstanding ball movement by this team. That was one of the things that really improved. I think part of the issue with this team is that, because there's this mix of young and veteran talent, with the veteran talent leading the way, there's a speed change. And off of the speed change, I've seen a lot of confusion in play calling. I've also seen some sloppiness at times, but I'm just going to call it sloppiness. I'm not going to call it a mess. I'm just going to call it sloppiness because these are things that can be easily fixed. And what they need to remember to do, because they know how to do it, but it's only when they do it they find themselves in long-term success, is to slow the pace of the game down, especially when they have a lead. My Florida Gators have this almost pathological tendency to go back to nature's raw epitome. And what all of that means is that these guys get happy and they get in this frenzy, right? And I guess that's the easiest way to describe it. I mean, I would like it to like a prison riot too, almost. I would probably like it more to a prison riot than a frenzy, because frenzies seem controlled, right? Like they're isolated in specific areas. These guys start flying all over the place. And I don't mean that in a bad way. I mean, you don't know who's going to pop off, because all of them can go crazy at any point in time. Our bigs, our freaking backcourt, our guards, everybody is insane, like literally just mental in a good way. And I say that to say that they're going to have to control that against the Dukes and the Auburns of the world. I'm just being honest with you, okay? I love my Florida Gators. I want to see them go far. They will enter this tournament no less than a 2 seed, and they deserve it. As far as I'm concerned, they are on the same level as the Duke and Auburn. They have already claimed Auburn as a victim this year, in fact, and I think that they can do it again. So obviously I have a lot of faith in this team, but they obviously need to have faith in themselves, and they also need to settle themselves down and control their energy when they get into that mode, especially when they're starting to fire off beyond the arc, because we know our bigs are athletic and underrated. All right, our backcourt is probably the best in college basketball, but when these guys really get ahead of steam, man, it runaway locomotive. Water 7 if you watch One Piece for the comparison. But like I said, they're gonna have to compose themselves against the Dukes and the Auburns of the world. But enough of that, guys. Next game is going to be against Alabama. That's going to be Wednesday, March 5th at 7 p.m. That's 6th ranked Alabama, rocking a 23-6 record. For the records to be concerned, the Florida Gators are ranked 3, sitting at second in the SEC. Behind Auburn at 25-4, and of course they defeated Texas A&M, rocking a 20-9 record, and they were ranked 12th in the nation. This Alabama team, ranking a 6th in the nation, like I said, will be a formidable opponent, an opponent that we have seen earlier this year, an opponent that we can beat, and we're going to have to go in and do it, as Alabama does hold one of the 4 losses against the University of Florida. I believe it's Alabama, it's Georgia, it's Tennessee, and was it Auburn's first game? It might have been Auburn, the first Auburn game we had. But yeah, 7-1 over the last 8. 2 games left. This team's on fire. Our boys are playing very, very well. Looking to the future. Looking forward to see what happens next. And I'm looking forward to the dance. Like I said, this team gets in no less than a 2. Noles. All right. Noles, guys. Noles. So Noles finished this season. They finished the season against Virginia in their final game. They can't be worse than 500. In fact, they're 16-13 right now, so they don't have to worry about that. They won't be 500 or negative, I should say. But they did lose to UNC and Duke respectively. UNC rocking a 19-11 record. The Noles rocking a 16-13 record. Score of that game was 96-85. Unfortunate fall there, but this is late in the season. The team is pretty much just ready for the season to close out. They're not going to be in the dance. They're trying to focus on what they can do to improve this team, and who can blame them. I fully suspect this team should be better next year, but they're going to need to rally. They're going to need continuity, and they're going to have to make some moves in the portal if they're going to make have any success next year. That next game against Virginia rocking a 14-15 record. They should be able to win this game. It's going to be Tuesday, March 4th at 9 p.m. It's supposed to see that on a good note, right? I mean, I'm a Gator, but I have a lot of respect for the college guys. Come on, I don't. Whenever y'all look bad, it kind of makes us look bad. You know what I'm saying? There's a rivalry there, so it doesn't matter if it's basketball or otherwise. When you guys look bad, it kind of taints us. It's almost like when Michigan State and Michigan look good, like everybody fears Michigan. But when it's just Michigan, people are like, nah. I mean, we can beat them. And so I really feel like it's a similarity to that. I've seen it, probably more so in football than basketball, but you get what I mean. It's still a rivalry. The score of that Duke game, to who it may be concerned, Duke rocking a 26-3 record, ranked 2, obviously. is 100-65. So I was a bit of a mauling. Both of those games took place last week. Just want to follow with the scores for those games in case you missed them. But like I said, Noel season is over. Kane's season is over too. But Noel season is over, and the good part is they're not 500 or worse. The bad part is they still got a lot of work to do in the offseason if they're going to try to come atop that ACC, which really started to go a few notches down, if you will, towards the end of the season. So we'll see what happens there. Good luck, Knowles. Do some work in the offseason. That's pretty much all we can really say, right? So, and then for the last college basketball team we have to talk about before our first break, the Miami Hurricanes, they're shot. They're just shot, completely shot. Wouldn't want to play basketball there right now. Just that culture shot. They're not in a healthy place. They're just not in a healthy place. They lost to UNC 92-73. We talked about the record already, 19-11 for UNC. The Canes record 6-23, one of the worst records in the country. They lost obviously to Duke as well, 97-60. Very similar ball game to what FSU did. The only difference is FSU's not neg, right? So 26-3 again, the record for Duke, just to be transparent there. Next game is going to be against Georgia Tech. That's going to be Tuesday, March 4th at 7 p.m. Like I said, there's going to be a 3, 4, 5, maybe even a set. I think there's a 7 in there somewhere too, but we'll see in a second. But realistically speaking, Canes not faring any better than FSU. In fact, completely worse than FSU. And unfortunately, to wrap their season up, they're going to have to go see NC State. And then that is going to be Saturday, March 8th at 12 p.m. So their season will be over by this time next week. NC State rocking 11-18 records. So both of these teams, not really great teams. If Miami had a last gasp to build upon during this offseason, now would be the time to inhale, if you will. But unfortunately, I just don't see it for them. I don't think they have what it takes. And I'm going to hang my hat on that. Let's see. Yeah, we're going to get into that MLB in a little bit. So I will mention that then. Tennessee, Kentucky, Georgia, Missouri. Okay, got you. My bad. So Missouri and Kentucky were the two teams that I had mistaken. And Kentucky always dangerous. That's right. We did lose Kentucky because I think they were the first. Were they the first team to defeat us? I think they were the first team to defeat us. They have a chance. Like they might have a chance, but we're hanging our hat on that in the ACC, right? Like it don't matter if they make it; they're out immediately. Like that's kind of the point that I'm making with that. On paper, yeah, but they can't hang with Syracuse. They can't hang with Duke. They can't hang with any of these teams. If they did make it, like I said, they're the first team out, easy. So yeah, anyway, that's what's going on, guys. Let's go ahead and get to our first break. I know it's a really late break, but guys, let's get into that first break. And even when we get back, we'll wrap things up with MLB, NHL, send you on your way with some food for thought. But thank you for having it locked here at Palm Tree Sports Radio. My name is Corey Pools, your host, and as always, is brought to you powered by IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Like I say, keep it locked here for a couple of minutes. We'll be right back at you with the rest of the show.
The roar of the crowd, the drama and pageantry, the adrenaline rush and decadence of the world of professional wrestling. Join yours truly, the SoCal Saint, for the best pro wrestling podcast going today, the IE Wrestling Show, exclusively on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Join us every Wednesday from 12 p.m. Central Standard Time, 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Once again, every Wednesday, the IE Wrestling Show. It's just too woo!
Welcome back to Palm Tree Sports. My name is Corey Pools, your host, and as always, this is brought to you and powered by IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that sports. Sorry for the double there, guys. Yeah, guys, I got it. I got it. All right. Anyway, all right, let's move on. Okay, let's move on, please. Okay, so MLB, spring training, Rays baseball, Marlins baseball. Let's get into it. All right. So first things first. Rays tied the Twins. They today at 5-5. So spring baseball is going a little bit different for the Rays this year. Or we're not in St. Petersburg. They're unfortunately dealing with the renovations and all the other political things that go into the stadium repairs and yada yada yada, if you will. This is going to be one of those times where I use that terminology. It's frustrating because we just want to watch baseball, right? But unfortunately, due to the hurricanes last year, they did a number on us in certain areas of. So actually, in fact, I can tell you for a fact that many areas are still recovering from it. For those of you who remember, in October we had back-to-back hurricanes that were pretty rough on us. They did a number on St. Pete as well as pretty much all central Florida. In fact, Vero Beach got hit really, really hard. And then it was after that St. Pete, slightly south and slightly north of us, also got hit pretty hard. St. Pete is right in front of Tampa Bay, so it was bang bang, if you will. And so St. Pete got messed up. Tampa got messed up. We have a spot called Davis Island. Davis Island is actually where Derek Jeter lived and where Tom Brady lived, and they got hit really, really hard as well. In fact, a lot of those houses. I was just out there last week, and a lot of those houses are still being rebuilt. The beach has been completely reinvigorated. It's absolutely insane, the devastation and the changes that have arise because of it. So do with that information as what you will. But as a result, the Rays baseball will not be in St. Pete for a little while. Next game is going to be against the Braves. That's tomorrow at 1:05 p.m. And like I said, they tied the Twins. Right now, they just need to focus on spring ball right now. I know it's a little frustrating, but, for the time being, they just need to focus, zone in, and get ready for the season. They have a decent rotation there, a pitcher. I think that they have one of the better rotations in baseball, in fact, but we'll have to wait and see how that really plays itself out with, Callahan and Bradley and all those other guys and whatnot. So we'll see. That's all I can say. It's early spring training, a lot of distractions. Tampa's going crazy. We'll see what happens, guys. Marlins, they beat the Cards 5-3 in spring training today. Their next game is going to be against Houston, the Astros, tomorrow at 1:10 p.m. So good job, Marlins. Way to get that W. And, just build upon it, right? Build upon it. We talked about that in the offseason, make some moves and hopefully something that will translate, into the season, into the start of it. And you guys have some talent, got to use it. We got to stand on it. Same thing with the Rays, same thing with that team, but it's still early. Still very, very, very early. We're not going to know anything until the season starts. Good luck to both of these teams. And, of course, like I said, spring training, so not a whole lot to go into detail about. But just keep in consideration, like I said, right now, Rays they have a bit of a distraction on their mind. And if they can play without it, they'll be able to play good baseball, like I said. Solid rotation. Wish they did more in the offseason, right? Wish they did more in the offseason for the batting lineup. But, like I said, the pitching rotation pretty solid, like pretty solid. So, Marlins did actually do some stuff in the offseason, and now we just have to see the fruits of the labor. Hopefully the continuity happens sooner than later, and if they can do that, they'll find themselves hopefully on the positive side of the equation instead of negative side of the equation like they were last year. Did end the season relatively strong last season for all intents and purposes in comparison to the rest of the season. So there's some ups there for the Marlins, like I said, but they're going to have to translate into 2025, and we'll see what happens once spring training wraps up. And then we got NHL, guys. So the Bolts and the Panthers right now. Bolts on fire, hell on wheels. One of the best teams, probably maybe the best team over the last 10 games in the NHL, realistically speaking. But absolutely phenomenal on the ice that they've been lately. 9-0-1 over the last 10 games, guys. Wow, just incredible. Puck movement, really, I think has probably been massive change for them. We've always had relatively solid defense with the occasional, mistakes, if you will. But offensively, and then one of the best goalies in hockey, this team has been performing extremely well. They beat the Capitals 3-1 in the last outing. Again, another 3-1 victory. We talked about that last week. A lot of 3-1 victories showing a lot of, really high-level skill in transition, the ability to defend down, down low, and especially when, the power play is active, and then just scoring, at will, which is a beautiful thing. The more that they do this, the higher they climb. And right now they're sitting at third in the East, and they're behind the Maple Leafs and the Panthers. So they're looking really, really good right now. Both rocking a 35-20 record. The Capitals are rocking a 38-14 record. So that's a win over a team with a slightly better record. Also impressive. Next game is going to be an in-state rivalry game. Panthers Bolts is going to be tomorrow at 7 p.m. I'm going to try to watch that game. Unfortunately, it's going to run into Monday Night Raw, which is the night after, or the weekend, the Monday after the Elimination Chamber, which was absolutely amazing. I'll talk about that for a split second before we get off the air. But the Panthers rocking a 37-21 record, slightly better record than the Bolts by a game and a half. But the key here is that the Bolts have won 8 in a row. They've won 8 in a row. I mean, this team looks absolutely phenomenal. It's incredible. It's incredible. And they do this pretty routinely. They just go on this, they just catch fire, lightning in a bottle, whatever it is you want to call it. Dominoes are falling, and they go crazy. And we talked about this earlier in the season. We were waiting for them to do this. We knew it would happen, and boom, it happened. So, this is, like I said, pretty typical for them, especially late season, for them to go on a crazy run, and they've been doing that. And they've been doing it, like I said, with great transition hockey. They finally score on the power play. I complain about that a lot, not scoring on a power play, because math is math. Math is math. For those of you who watch The Incredibles, math is math. It doesn't change unless you change it. But yeah. So, shout out to our Bolts team playing really, really good hockey. And, hopefully, hopefully they continue moving forward and get in at a 3 or a 2. It's going to be hard for them to make 1, but just great job, Bolts. Great job, guys. Super proud of you guys. Love you. Keep going, guys. Keep freaking going. Panthers. All right, Panthers. Panthers playing pretty good hockey right now, too. They're winners of 3 in a row. I wouldn't call them hotter right now. I would just say that they're the defending champs, and they're playing like defending champs. Pretty solid record. Like I said before, 37-21 be their record. They beat the Flames 28-20. The 28-23 Flames, that is, 3-0 in their last outing. Like I said, here by increasing their win total on the road to 3. They're sitting at second place, right behind the Maple Leafs there in the East right now as the playoff seeding continues to narrow its safe down as we get closer. And, of course, the next game is going to be against the Bolts. We just talked about that. Bolts rocking, again, a 35-20 record. This is going to be a battle of 2 of the best teams in the East as well as 2 of the very best teams in all of hockey at the moment. Tomorrow, 7 p.m., guys. Be there or be, that's right, square. I'm just playing. That's such an old line, guys. Check the game out if you want to see 2 of the best teams in the East. That's how I would market it. I mean, at the end of the day, they're 2-3. Both of these teams are going to make the playoffs. They're probably going to see each other again in the playoffs. What more would you expect, right? So this is going to be another one of those games where, it's going to come down to who can outlast who. This is going to be a last man standing match. I have a lot of faith in my Bolts, but obviously Panthers, like I said, the defending Stanley Cup Finals champions, and they're not going to lay down, right? So there's 2 things we know about the Panthers. Suspect fireworks, suspect close game. I fully suspect that the Bolts right now probably have a leg up on the Panthers with the games 1 in a row. But the Panthers definitely have something to fight for, especially coming up 3 wins in a row. That with the last loss being to the Kraken. So just again, great game. Look forward to seeing who wins. Go Bolts. Go Bolts. That's what I have for you guys for everything coming out of Sunshine State for sports, guys. Right before I hit the music, I definitely want to talk about that for those of you who do watch. I watch. This is just kind of a fan in me talking about it, not any type of like orientation towards or anything like that. But what a crazy event the Chamber was. Obviously, we saw some returns and some incredible moments that were created. Jay Cargill coming back, attacking Naomi, that was insane. That was just absolutely insane. But then I think a lot of us kind of were suspected that. I love Liv Morgan to pieces, guys. So like when I saw Liv, like I was like, but Liv, you didn't do it. I just don't feel like that was on your radar. You know what I'm saying? Per the writing, of course. But so what an incredible that event was. What an incredible interaction that was. Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens tore the house down. One of the greatest matches I've ever seen in wrestling history. Those two are best friends for a reason. They literally made a movie in there. What an incredible match. I would love to go back and rewatch that match, in fact, and actually just kind of, just really enjoy that before it's gone, because both of those guys are only getting older. A decade from now, they may not still be here. Speaking of a decade from now not being here, Randy Orton returned, which was absolutely amazing. Got to say, I hated how the referees stopped him from landing his signature punt on KO. But hey, it is what it is. Sets up for, wherever they're going to do battle, which is probably going to be SmackDown. Was it SmackDown? I think it was SmackDown before is where they were at. Like, I don't know. We'll see what happens. But so looking forward to that. And of course, the main event, Men's Chamber, pretty solid. We were talking about this at shop on Saturday, but we're pretty sure that Cena was going to win. He did. But then like what he did afterwards was definitely a big surprise. Makes sense though. I mean, if there was ever a time to do it, and this kind of reminds me of the writing before WrestleMania 18, I think it was. I think Stone Cold sold out to get the title from The Rock, I think it was, if I'm calling that correctly. So what an interesting time that was. What an interesting time to bring that back around. But it looks like that's what they're doing. So I'm super excited to see what they're going to do next. I'm super excited for the rest of football to come back, not the NFL, but the USFL, I think it is, to come back. So super excited for the future of this year in 2025. We're only at the beginning of March, guys, so a lot to come still ahead. A lot to come here in Palm Tree Sports, guys. So keep it locked here every Sunday evening at 9 p.m. for all of your Florida sports news. My name is Ben Corey Pinot, signing off. Thank you so much for being here this evening. I hope you guys have a wonderful week. Take care of yourselves. Stay hydrated, spend time with your family, and take care. Don't crash out. I'm saying that for myself. You guys have a wonderful week, and I will see you next time. Until then, again, Corey P signing off. Have a wonderful week. Take care.